Coming home was like stepping back into a dream. Familiar, yet different. Everything looked the same: the garden where Capitu and I used to play, the house where my mother prayed and fussed over me. But I was not the same boy who had left for the seminary. I felt older, though not wiser. The world seemed more complicated, full of possibilities and dangers I hadn't noticed before. And then there was Capitu. From the moment I saw her standing at the gate, I knew she had changed too. She wasn't the girl I had left behind. She was more everything, more confident, more beautiful, more mysterious. Her eyes, those deep, tide-like eyes, seemed to hold secrets I couldn't begin to unravel. We fell back into our old rhythm quickly. Every day we found excuses to spend time together. We walked through the neighborhood, talked for hours in the garden, and laughed about nothing at all. But beneath the laughter, there was something else, something unspoken. One afternoon, as we sat beneath the mango tree in her yard, she turned to me and said, "Bento, do you ever think about the future?" "Of course," I replied. "Doesn't everyone?" She smiled, but it wasn't her usual mischievous smile. It was softer, almost shy. "What do you see?" I hesitated. I didn't know how to put it into words. I saw a life with her, but I didn't know if she saw the same. "I don't know," I said finally. "What about you?" She looked away, her fingers plucking at the grass. "I think about it all the time. I think about being happy." "Are you not happy now?" I asked. "I am," she said quickly. "But it's different. There's so much more out there, don't you think? So many things we've never seen, never done." I nodded, though I wasn't sure what she meant. Capitu had always been restless, always dreaming of something bigger. I loved that about her, but it also scared me. I worried that one day her dreams would take her away from me. The weeks turned into months, and our bond grew stronger. My mother, ever observant, began to notice. She didn't say anything at first, but I could feel her watching us, her eyes lingering a little too long when Capitu was near. Then, one evening, as we sat together after dinner, she spoke. "Bento, you've been spending a lot of time with Capitu." "She's my friend," I said, trying to sound casual. "She's a good girl," my mother replied, her tone careful. "But people will talk." I didn't understand what she meant, not fully. To me, Capitu was Capitu, my closest friend, my confidant, the person who knew me better than anyone else. But to my mother, she was something else. A girl from a different background, a different class. I wanted to argue, to tell her that none of that mattered, but I didn't. I couldn't. Instead, I said nothing, letting the silence stretch between us. The next day, I told Capitu what my mother had said. She laughed, but it wasn't her usual laugh. It was sharp, almost bitter. "People will always talk," she said. "Let them. What do they know about us?" Her words comforted me, but only for a moment. Deep down, I knew my mother wouldn't let this go. She believed in rules, in order, in doing what was proper. And she would do whatever it took to protect me, even if it meant keeping me away from Capitu. One evening, as I lay in bed, I overheard her talking to José Diaz. Their voices were low, but I caught fragments of their conversation. "Too close," my mother said. "It's not right." "She's clever, Dona Gloria," José Diaz replied. "She knows how to captivate." The words stung, not because they were true, but because they came from someone who had no right to judge her. I didn't sleep that night. I lay awake, thinking about Capitu, about my mother, about the invisible wall that seemed to be growing between them. I didn't know how to tear it down, but I knew one thing. I couldn't lose Capitu. Not now, not ever. But love is never simple, and neither is life. In the next chapter, I'll tell you how Capitu and I began to dream of a future together, and how those dreams faced their first real test. Stay with me, for the story is far from over.